Hi, I'm Toni Toney, the creator of the Ecotarian Revolution and author of the Ecotarian Diet. And again, what most people ask me every day is what's for breakfast, what's for lunch, and what's for dinner. So what I do is I try to describe to everyone how we are so interconnected with the planet and how the planet is so interconnected to what's called the circadian rhythm, which has to do with the light dark cycle. So from 4 o'clock in the morning until 11 or 12 noon, the sun is coming up around the earth and it's at its highest peak at 11. During that cycle is when our bodies are in the elimination cycle. So as we discussed before, what is the best food during that cycle is basically drinking water to help the cells eliminate because of metabolic waste that the cells have basically let go of that night before. And then from 11 or 12 o'clock, it's time to go into what's called the consumption cycle. So it's during that cycle that we're better off just eating our foods. So that again would be between either 11 or 12 and 8 o'clock at night. I usually stop eating personally like around 5 o'clock at night, and I don't have anything to eat again until 11 o'clock the next day. So again, we're in the consumption cycle when we're talking about lunch and actually also when we're talking about dinner. So during this segment, I'm going to talk about my favorite food of all. It's pesto. I spent a lot of time in Italy, in Lake Como, Italy actually. And in Lake Como, they really and truly knew how to make pesto that was just outrageously good. And what I loved about it most of all is it was not complicated. They do one thing over there that I'm not going to do today because I'm an ecotarian vegan. I do not eat dairy. And they put, I think it's like a Romano cheese in their pesto. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make a pesto sauce that I absolutely love. And it tastes like it has cheese in it, actually. And what makes it taste that way is that when you put this incredible salt from the Celtic Sea Salt Company, and it's a Hawaiian salt called Makai, and it's from Hawaii again. It's the Makai deep sea salt, and I love this particular salt. So what we're going to do first is we're going to add an organic, all raw, 100% cold pressed olive oil. So we're going to put approximately 8 ounces of olive oil into a Blendtec blender. And the reason that I use the Blendtec blender for my pesto is because I can basically get on the blender and I can take it to any speed that I want. So it's not just one speed. So when you go to the store, always choose any kind of an olive oil that's cold pressed, number one. Number two, make sure that it's raw. And if it's raw, it means that it was pressed with a degree less than 108 degrees. And make sure also that it's organic and in a dark bottle, so that way your oil does not oxidize on you. If it's in a clear glass bottle, because of the sunlight coming in through that clear glass bottle, oils tend to oxidize fast. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add about 8 ounces of really, really good organic olive oil into the Blendtec. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add pine nuts. And so when you add it, if you're not going by recipe, but when you add it, just shake the pine nuts until you barely see a layer of oil on the top. And when you barely see that layer of oil, you know that you're almost there. So that was perfect. Then I'm going to add 5 large cloves of garlic, my favorite, to our pesto. So I start blending the pesto first, and again, we're going to use a variable speed, so we want to pulse this because you don't want it creamy, you want it chunky. That's the Italian secret of making great pesto, is chunky. So I'm going to use the pulsing. As you can see, it pulses. And soon we're going to have the best pesto in town, I promise. And now I'm going to add my salt, which I, again, absolutely love this salt. And I'm just going to eye it for you. But again, you're going to have the exact recipe when you go to ToniToney.com. And I'm just going to pulse it a couple times. And again, we're leaving that salt kind of chunky. Lots of basil. I'm going to save this one piece out so that I can put a beautiful, like a basil flower on top of the pesto. So here we go. The great thing about the Blendtec is that you don't need a probe to take it down because of the way that they make their container. They make their container kind of wide at the top and slimmer at the bottom so that the blade can kind of drive everything down into it, which I love. So here we go. We're going to pulse. And you'll see. I mean, it's pretty incredible. Voila. Pesto, the most incredible food I know on planet Earth. So I'm going to put some pesto in a little serving tray. And the great thing about pesto, again, is you can put it on just about everything. I even like pesto, I thin it down a little bit with a little bit more olive oil. And sometimes I like even making a salad with pesto sauce, which is fun. And so on the ecotarian diet, on the ultimate ecotarian diet, we're cutting out grains. So generally, we would not be eating grains, but guess what? Once a month or once every 2 weeks, I add a little bit of brown rice pasta to my diet because I love it in pesto. And I don't eat it a lot, but again, choose a brown rice pasta that is gluten-free, that is 100% organic, and that it has an incredible texture to it, because this particular pasta, it's called Pasta Joy, and it's really incredible. It tastes like a regular whole wheat or semolina pasta. Very, very good. So when you cook it al dente. I didn't cook it for you today because today's not my day of eating pasta. Darn it anyway. So I'm gonna put this over here. And another thing that I love is Lydia's. Lydia makes some really, really great dehydrated crackers. And sometimes I just like using pesto on crackers. So crackers and pesto, it's a whole lot better to me than crackers and peanut butter. Peanut butter is extremely acid forming, where pesto is not. Pesto is an alkaline food. And the great thing about Lydia's is that these are made with nori, and these are also made with almonds. There are no grains, absolutely no grains in her crackers. So I don't really have a serving knife, but we're going to pretend that I do here. So I would put a little bit of pesto on my cracker. And, you know, for those of you who like sun-dried tomatoes, sometimes I add sun-dried tomatoes to the top of my pesto. And sometimes, even when you're making the pasta, you can throw in some sun-dried tomatoes. But always remember, when you do pasta and you do pesto, make sure that you have a big salad on the side, because that salad is what's going to alkalize you and neutralize any kind of acids that tend to be in grains. So alkalize yourself, go green, and enjoy green pesto from Italy. But actually, it will be from your kitchen to your mouth to your belly, and you're going to go, thank you, Italians, for creating such an incredible food.